Sasha in peril. Is someone pushing her toward postpartum madness? According to General Hospital teasers, Sasha Gilmore Corbin is on the verge of an emotional breakdown in Port Charles, having recently given birth to her baby, Daisy, with Michael Corinthos. Haunted by the loss of her son Liam in 2021, Sasha's hormone-fueled anxiety is escalating, exacerbated by a scary hospital nursery event in which Daisy was discovered turned about in her cot, wearing different attire circumstances Sasha cannot explain. As rumors of foul play circulate, possibly related to Jen Sidwell's plans or Drew Quartermain's grudge, will these upsetting occurrences lead Sasha into a postpartum mental breakdown? Will she begin to doubt her own sanity if someone mocks her vulnerable state? Sasha's fragile postpartum status. Sasha's delight at Daisy's birth is overshadowed by her past trauma and heightened hormones, making the hospital nursery disaster, a nurse's hazy explanation failing to comfort her, and the recent inexplicable occurrence back at the Quartermain home appear like a foreboding warning. Her history of mental health issues, as revealed after Liam's murder, makes her vulnerable, and the mysterious wardrobe exchange fuels her paranoia. If similar experiences continue, Sasha may question her grasp on reality, especially with Michael preoccupied with his continued fears about Willow Corinthos. Will her concerns escalate, or will she be able to remain calm? Is Sasha being targeted? The nursery blunder raises concerns of intentional manipulation. Sidwell, in conflict with Sonny Corinthos, may target Sasha in order to target Michael. Meanwhile, Drew, who is furious about losing custody of Willow to Michael, may use subtle gaslighting to undermine his bond with Sasha. Daisy may also be at risk. A sinister individual such as a hospital employee linked to Sidwell could be behind the crib incident, attempting to push Sasha into a breakdown. Sasha's growing distrust of herself may blind her to the truth. Is someone using her emotions? Or is this a sad coincidence? A spiral or a fight for clarity? Daisy's safety absorbs Sasha, threatening her mental sanity. If other incomprehensible incidents accumulate, such as a misplaced baby blanket or a strange visitor, she may withdraw inside, fearing a postpartum collapse. Nina Reeves and Felicia Scorpio could give assistance, but Sasha's past trauma may cause her to question their abilities. Is Sasha on the verge of postpartum madness as a nefarious figure manipulates her emotions, or can she overcome her concerns to protect Daisy and discover the truth behind the nursery mystery? Sasha Gilmore had experienced more than most women her age. The memories of her kid Liam's short life continued to torment her. Brando's death left a permanent gap, and the months that followed were filled with heartache, drug misuse, and a daily struggle to maintain her sanity. Just as she believed she was returning to firm ground, she felt the earth beneath her feet move again. Something was not right. A faint sensation of worry had settled in, like the return of a storm she had barely weathered before. At first she attempted to disregard it. The tiny things, misplaced objects, forgotten conversations, bizarre déjà vu emotions. She attributed it to sleep deprivation, a side effect of the tension she carried like a second skin. However, the frequency and severity of these instances increased. Sasha saw that things weren't just disappearing, they were being transferred. Her favorite bracelet, which Brando gave her, went missing for 2 days before appearing in a drawer she never used. Her phone was continually losing battery, even when she wasn't using it. She'd hear voices outside her apartment at night, but when she looked, no one was there. It wasn't pure paranoia. Something was happening. Maxie was the first to notice Sasha drifting away again. Her typical zeal at deception had subsided. She was no longer contributing to meetings in the same way she used to, and her once captivating exuberance had given way to a fragile calm. Maxie tried to speak with her, but Sasha smiled too brightly and maintained she was only tired. "Just adjusting," she said. "You know how it is." But Maxie had witnessed what adjustment looked like the previous time Sasha spiraled. This was not fatigue. This was terror. It wasn't long before Lucy Coe expressed her own reservations. She noted inconsistencies in Sasha's schedules, such as missing calls, coming late, and even forgetting an important meeting with investors. Lucy pulled her aside and gently suggested a break, but Sasha declined. Taking a step back would simply amplify the whispers that she couldn't handle her career, life, and loss. She had worked hard to prove she was more than just a lovely face with a shattered heart, and she wasn't about to let the world think she was going downhill again. But the murmurs had already begun. Word spread through the halls of deception and the corridors of General Hospital. Some questioned whether Sasha was relapsing. Others felt that the emotional scars of losing Brando and Liam had never fully healed. To the outside world, Sasha appeared to be unraveling as a result of prior trauma. But there was more to it. Sasha could feel it. Someone was nudging her towards the edge. It began with the images. A manila envelope was left at her door one morning. There's no return address. Inside, there were 3 printed photographs. One showed Sasha asleep on her bed. The second image shows her wandering alone at night, unaware that a camera lens had discovered her from across the street. The third and most chilling image was of Liam's recently visited gravestone, with a single flower laid in front. Sasha shrieked as she dropped the packet. She phoned police, who dispatched an officer to take a complaint. But there were no fingerprints, no video footage of the letter being dropped, and no clear threats, so they had little recourse. They instructed her to secure her doors, remain vigilant, and report anything strange. Sasha was infuriated. You think I don't know how to stay vigilant? Do you think I haven't spent every day since my son died in a state of panic? They respectfully bowed and went, leaving her alone and more vulnerable than ever. The envelope sent her plummeting even farther. She began to question everything and everyone. Who could have taken such photographs? Was she being followed? Was someone observing her every move? She could not sleep. Every creak in the apartment signaled a potential intruder. She began sleeping with the lights on. She skipped meals. Her eyes had lost their luster, replaced by a persistent, watery anxiety. And then the infant cries began. At first she assumed they were dreams. She'd awaken in the middle of the night to the gentle faraway sound of a baby sobbing. But she'd look around the street, the corridor, and the building courtyard and find nothing. Then one night the crying became louder. It was emanating from within her flat. She ripped the room apart, thinking there was a concealed speaker or a baby monitor interfering with her system. Nothing. She informed Maxie. She informed Cody. She even visited Sunny. Maxie believed her but wasn't sure what to do. Cody offered to spend the night. Sunny assured her that he would have one of his men keep an eye on the house just to be sure. Sasha appreciated their support, but she could see it in their eyes. Uncertainty. They wondered as she did, if this was all in her head. It was difficult not to wonder, especially when her own history worked against her. She once had a complete breakdown. She developed hallucinations, assaulted a cameraman, and ended herself in a conservatorship. She had clawed her way out of that nightmare, but it had left an impression. Even now her imagination betrayed her with flashbacks to the past. Blood, silence, anguish, medicines. But something felt odd. This was hardly a chaotic internal situation. This was external. Someone was doing this to her. Spinelli agreed to investigate. He started with the envelope and suddenly the baby cried. He performed checks for covert listening devices, cameras, and hacking efforts. He discovered interference. Short signals delivered to her Wi-Fi router in the middle of the night. It was undetectable but plainly planned. Someone was targeting her smart home system. It described the sounds. It explained the lights flickering. Sasha had not dreamed it. That knowledge gave her a momentary burst of power. She wasn't losing her mind. However, it also made things scarier. If someone had that level of access, they were close. They recognized her patterns, her routines, her grief. Then the second envelope arrived. This one contained a note. You weren't supposed to keep him. The words were printed in a tight, aggressive font. No signature. There's nothing else. Sasha's hands trembled as she read it repeatedly. She understood what it meant. Someone believed that Liam should have died. Someone knew about the baby switch. Someone was upset that she had discovered her son alive and brought him home. This wasn't just a stalker, it was personal. She called Valentine. He had previously assisted her, and she now needed his services once more. Valentine agreed without hesitation. He hired private security, set up monitoring, and deployed 2 guards to work shifts near her building. Even with the extra safety, Sasha couldn't overcome his fear. Whoever was behind this was playing a long game. They were getting braver. The next onslaught was not psychological. It was bodily. Sasha had gone to Kelly's for lunch with Willow, a rare opportunity to leave her apartment and have a regular moment. She left her phone on the table when she went to the bathroom. Willow as well as her phone were gone when she returned. Sasha went into a panic. She phoned Willow from the manager's office. Willow responded, saying she had just walked outside to take a call, and assumed Sasha had gone to meet the security crew. But Sasha had not. She had not said anything. An hour later, her phone was discovered in a garbage bin outside the hospital. Photographs had been erased. Contacts were scrambled. Maxie, Cody, and Sunny's texts are no longer available. Sasha felt as though her life was being erased in real time. Valentine doubled the guards. However, the stress was becoming unbearable. Her hands shook incessantly. She stopped eating. Her eyes clouded from fatigue. When she looked in the mirror, she could scarcely recognize herself. Then the most terrible development occurred. Liam was gone. She awoke one morning to discover his crib empty. No note. There is no trace of forced entry. There is no sound from the baby monitor. She yelled. The guards raced inside. A complete search was launched. Port Charles Police Department was contacted. Sunny activated his own network. Spinelli was removed from another investigation and refocused on Sasha. The entire community went on alert. But 4 hours later, Liam was discovered. He was in the hospital. He was dropped off at the nurse's station with a simple note on his blanket that said, "She doesn't deserve him." The note was the last blow. Sasha collapsed. They'd broken her. They hadn't simply scared her. They had stolen her child, although briefly, and demonstrated that her greatest fears could come true. Portia admitted her to the hospital for observation. She wasn't on a mental health hold, but she was dangerously near to emotional breakdown. She sat on the bed, holding Liam and gently rocking him, tears silently flowing down her cheeks. "Someone wants me gone," she said quietly to Maxie. "I'm not dead. Just broken. Lost. Back to where I started. They want me to fail." Maxie did not disagree. She knew it wasn't over. Whoever was pursuing Sasha was astute, cunning, and unwavering. Spinelli finally got a break. One of the burner phones used to scramble Sasha's device had pinged a tower near the hospital on the day Liam was discovered. Cross-referencing the signal with the hospital's access logs revealed a name. Ramona Wells. An orderly. Recently hired. There is no criminal history. However, subsequent investigation discovered that she previously worked at a clinic in upstate New York, the same one where Brando's mother Gladys was briefly treated for a breakdown. This raised red flags. Valentine made the connection. Ramona had ties to the same nurse who coordinated the first baby switch. It was a revenge plot. Ramona had lost a child years before, during a NICU crisis that led to her termination. She blamed General Hospital. They blamed Sasha for their survival. She blamed deception for praising motherhood while she wept silently. Her fall into madness had been meticulously veiled, until she saw Sasha's story in the paper, holding Liam and smiling. That was her trigger. Ramona was arrested 2 days later. She had a room filled with Sasha's photographs, notes, and audio recordings. She acknowledged to arranging the entire campaign, including the envelopes, baby cries, stolen phone, and brief captivity. She wanted Sasha to crumble. She wanted the world to view her as unstable. She wanted Liam to return to the system so Ramona could try to claim him herself. Sasha was cleared. The investigation was closed. Liam was safe. Nonetheless, the damage lingered. Every time Sasha closed her eyes, she could see the note. "You weren't supposed to keep him." It haunted her. But, over time, therapy, community, and unwavering love from those around her helped her begin again. Sasha realized that survival was more than just escaping the fire. It was about stepping through the ash and creating something new. And this time she was not alone. The latest General Hospital spoilers for Monday, June 30th, reveal that Anna Devane and ADA Justine Turner's latest argument will flare up while another one begins across town. After assuring Carly Spencer that he would take care of things, Sonny Corinthos will accompany Natalia Ramirez outside the church so they can talk quietly. When Sonny maintains that Natalia cannot attend, she will respond that he is also not permitted. Natalia will protest that Sonny is meant to be on the plane with her, But he will make it plain that is not the case. As Sunny's henchman grabs Natalia and prepares to bring her away, Natalia will ominously advise that Sunny receive every blessing he deserves. Of course, it will appear that Natalia is cursing Sunny instead. Although the rest of Daisy's christening will go smoothly, calamity awaits one of Sunny's family members later. This is because someone intends to set fire to Charlie's pub. Christina Corinthos Davis will become entangled in some danger as a result, and she may be in the stockroom when the fire begins to spread. According to GH teasers, Christina will be well in the end, but Sunny will be concerned and enraged after a close call. Brooke Lynn Quartermain will have her own set of alarms when it comes to the Natalia drama. Harrison Chase has been dragged into Ada Turner's plot to bring down Sunny, but he will make an arrangement with Brooke Lynn on Monday's episode. The greatest thing Chase and Brooke Lynn can do now is maintain their personal relationship separate from everything else. While Chase and Brooke Lynn strive to safeguard their marriage, Portia Robinson will do the same. Jordan Ashford has just strolled in and ruined Portia's attempt to reconnect passionately with Curtis Ashford, which will heighten the tension between Portia and Curtis X. Curtis may defend Jordan, but Portia will see through his denial that his former flame wants him back, and is attempting to separate them. That isn't exactly what Jordan is doing, but there's no denying that old emotions are surfacing. While Portia has another major outburst, Lucas Jones will urge Marco Rios. This could be Marco's last chance to meet Natalia halfway and make up with his mother, so Lucas will encourage him to go for it. Unfortunately, Natalia's refusal to back down from Sunny may have come too late. Will Sunny make Natalia disappear, whether to Belize or somewhere more permanent? According to General Hospital teasers, Sunny will face more tragedies in the coming episodes, so stay tuned. The summer heat in Port Charles held a strain that no one could quite understand until it began to disintegrate in front of their eyes. Monday morning began deceptively tranquil, but it wasn't long until the illusion of peace crumbled, leaving behind a trail of devastation no one saw coming, especially Christina Corinthos Davis. Christina was upbeat that morning, still buzzing from the emotional high of her baby shower, and the growing support from Blaze. In recent weeks, the two of them had grown closer, despite occasional misgivings and past wounds. Blaze had gone above and above to make Christina feel recognized, valued, and supported during the emotional roller coaster of her surrogacy pregnancy. They weren't simply forming a relationship, they were attempting to combine their two very different worlds: Christina's unstable family life and Blaze's burgeoning popularity in the music industry. Blaze's situation had not been easy. Her life had been under scrutiny since she came out publicly. Her fan following had mainly supported her, but backlash, particularly from those related to her past, had begun to sneak in. Most disturbing of all was the emergence of Marco, Blaze's old manager, and an unnerving person with whom she had severed relations long before arriving in Port Charles. His presence in her life had previously served as a bitter reminder of her years of silence and control. Now he was back, claiming he had changed, that he wanted to make peace, and that he could help restart her stalled career. But Blaze didn't believe in coincidences, and she certainly didn't believe in Marco's unexpected transformation. Still, she had not told Christina everything. Not yet. She had suggested that Marco was trouble, and cautioned her to stay away if he ever showed up. But she hadn't gone into detail about Marco's actions, how he'd manipulated her image, locked her into dodgy contracts, used her name for dubious business ties, and threatened to ruin her if she ever tried to escape. She assumed she had left him behind when she came to Port Charles, but celebrity has a way of finding up with you. Someone would eventually try to profit from your calm. Blaze had agreed to meet with Marco one last time at his urging, claiming he had information regarding her previous contracts being sold to a third party who meant to profit from her present celebrity. He threatened a lawsuit until she met with him. Blaze, against her better judgment, did not notify anyone, including Christina. She did not want Christina to worry. She did not want to break the peace they had finally achieved. So she met Marco alone, in a dimly lighted alley outside the music venue where she used to perform before her life changed forever. The venue was now closed, condemned after a fire 2 years prior. This is the ideal area for someone to make threats without being witnessed. Marco appeared different but no less menacing. His eyes had the same deceptive glitter, and his words was like sugar-coated poison. He started with niceties claiming to be sorry, but Blaze saw right through it. He had not altered. His motivations were as obvious as ever. Regaining control, making a profit, and if necessary destroying anything or anybody standing in his path. Blaze did not flinch. She stood firm and told him that she was no longer terrified of him. But Marco had anticipated it. He pulled out his trump card and threatened Christina. He claimed to have personnel following her, and that he knew where she was at all times. His smile was unnerving. Blaze's heartbeat stopped. "Don't push me," Marco said. "I'm not afraid of a little bloodshed to make a point." Blaze knew that this wasn't about music, contracts, or stardom. It was all about control. Marco hadn't simply come to unsettle her nerves. He had come to reclaim control of her life by endangering the one person she genuinely loved. Blaze knew what she needed to do. She pulled away, nodded as if she was pondering his offer, and promised to bring him the information he requested. Then she dashed toward Christina. Meanwhile, Christina was at the community center, finishing up a meeting about new outreach programs for young LGBTQ+ youth. She was ecstatic about growing the youth mentorship project, and hopes to include Blaze as a guest speaker. The tone was joyful and upbeat, until Blaze burst through the door, her face pallid and her eyes wide with fear. Christina realized immediately that something was wrong. Blaze went over to her and pulled her aside, explaining everything in quiet but panicked tones. Marco's threats, the meeting, the expression in his eyes when he mentioned Christina. Christina's cheeks flushed with panic, but she refused to let it overwhelm her. She threw her arms around Blaze, grounding her, and firmly stated, "We're going to the police." Blaze paused. She distrusted the system. She'd had enough of legal loopholes. She wasn't convinced Port Charles Police Department would take her seriously, or that Marco wouldn't flee before they could act. But Christina was unwilling to take any chances. She called Dante Falconeri and explained that the situation was urgent. Dante arrived instantly and took Blaze's statement. He promised to conduct an inquiry, but warned that without physical evidence or a recording of the threats, it would be difficult to arrest Marco. That wasn't good enough for Christina. She wanted Marco out of their life, permanently. Later that day, Blaze and Christina returned to their flat, followed by a patrol officer for protection. Blaze was shaken, but he tried not to show it. Christina could see the flaws in her armor, though. The fear had set in deep. Christina prepared dinner to keep their minds occupied, but halfway through, Blaze stood up unexpectedly. "I have to do something," she explained. "I can't just sit here." "What are you talking about?" "I need to go back. I need to record him. If he threatens you again, I will have proof. That is the only way we can get him arrested." Christina was shocked. "Absolutely not." Blaze turned to her with hard gaze. "He threatened you. I am not going to let that go. And I'm not letting you walk into danger," Christina yelled. "You don't have to do this alone." "I'm not," Blaze replied. "You're the reason I'm doing this at all." It crushed Christina's heart. Blaze was willing to put herself at risk to protect her. It was noble, bold, and terrible. They arrived to a compromise after nearly an hour of bickering. Blaze would meet Marco again, but this time Christina would be there, keeping an eye on things while Dante and the police would be on alert. They scheduled the meeting for early evening in the same alley. Blaze wired herself using the little recorder Spinelli offered. Christina concealed a block away in an unmarked vehicle, holding a phone connected to the police frequency. Marco arrived 10 minutes late. He appeared smug. Blaze urged herself to be cool. "Did you get what I asked for?" He scoffed. Blaze played along. "I'd like to discuss your threats first." "About Christina." He smirked. "I do not make threats, sweetie. I make promises. And if you don't follow the rules, she might not wake up the next time she falls asleep." That was sufficient. Christina heard it clearly through the earphone. She hit the emergency button, and Dante and a group of officers assaulted the alley. Marco attempted to flee, but was tackled and handcuffed. Blaze collapsed with relief. Christina ran to her, cradling her in her arms as Blaze trembled with excitement. "You did it," Christina said quietly. "It's over." However, they both knew it wasn't. The legal struggle had only barely started. Marco would be charged, but he still had resources and contacts. He'd fight back. Blaze would have to relive everything she had tried so hard to forget. The arrest sparked a flurry of activity in Port Charles for several days. The press learned of the story, in which a budding pop sensation and Sonny Corinthos' daughter exposed a powerful predator. Blaze was recognized for her bravery, while Christina was seen as a hero by those closest to her. But, behind the surface, the emotional consequences persisted. Blaze battled to sleep, tormented by what-if scenarios. Christina stood firm for her, but the tension took its toll. She was still pregnant. The tension was bad for her and the baby, and everyone around her encouraged her to rest. Sam and Molly stopped by to help out, surprise Christina with their silent support. Even Sonny showed up, offering extra security and emphasizing that if the authorities didn't handle Marco, he would. Blaze was moved by the support but remained rattled. She thought she had introduced too much risk into Christina's life. One night, while Christina slept, Blaze packed a bag and attempted to flee, thinking that leaving was the only way to keep her safe. But Christina awoke. "What are you doing?" she asked gently, devastated. "I'm protecting you," Blaze sobbed. "I love you too much to be the reason something happens to you." Christina approached, took her hand and murmured, "Then stay. We protect one another." It was a watershed moment. Blaze stayed. She began therapy. She started to open up more, not just about Marco but about her life before Port Charles. Christina did the same. The ordeal, while terrifying, brought them closer than ever. It strengthened their link, reinforced their love, and made them realize they weren't just creating a life. They were also surviving it together. They shared their experience in a carefully controlled conversation, concentrating not on Marco, but on how survivors could find their voices. The answer was largely enthusiastic. Blaze's music streams skyrocketed. Deception extended her a promotional collaboration. More importantly, teenage fans contacted her, thanking her for giving them hope. Christina, too, found her calling heightened. The youth center experienced an increase in donations and attendance. Her advocacy was louder and stronger. The baby growing inside her was already part of a much larger story than either of them had envisioned. As the calendar changed to July, a new chapter began. Not just for Christina and Blaze, but for every survivor who recognized that their truth was important and that they weren't alone. Marco's last chance ultimately proved to be his undoing. But for Christina and Blaze, it was the start of something unbreakable. General Hospital spoilers for the next 2 weeks, June 30th to July 11th, show that Sonny Corinthos will have a lot on his plate. Between getting rid of Natalia Ramirez, the baptismal crasher, and coping with the upcoming bar fire, Sonny will have plenty of drama. Christina Corinthos Davis will experience a dangerous ordeal during the week of June 30th to July 4th, when someone sets fire to Charlie's pub. Molly Lansing Davis will receive updates on some concerning news about the fire, but she will relax once she understands Christina will be okay. Anna Devane and Harrison Chase will learn about this fiery twist as well, and they will rush to the crime scene to begin an investigation. Naturally, people will start pointing fingers at Jen Sidwell quite quickly. This may involve Alexis Davis, who is ready to pay an angry visit to Windermere. Sonny will make a pledge to exact revenge. Nobody goes after Sonny's family without consequences, so Sonny vows to hold Sidwell or anybody else responsible for this incident accountable. According to additional GH spoilers, Tracy Quartermain will plan her next move, so we'll see if Drew Kane is about to face another setback, possibly a much worse one. While Giovanni Gio Palmieri confides in Emma Scorpio Drake, Jocelyn Jacks must accept new limitations set by Jack Brennan. Jocelyn may also have some Professor Henry Hank Dalton information to share, since she will divulge something in the upcoming episode. Once Dante Falconeri locates Jason Morgan, they may discuss the best method to keep Rocco Falconeri and Danny Morgan safe, especially after Christina's close encounter.